Guess what, guys? It's itsy bitsy scrap annihilation time. As in, we will be using the teeniest, tiniest pieces of scrap we've ever used to make this project. And I really do believe this will be the most fun we'll ever have with scraps. Ever. And did I mention it's also a Christmas project? Let's do this. And you know what? Let's do this a little bit differently. Let's play a game. I won't tell you what I'm making until I absolutely have to. And until I do, you can try and guess what it is. It's not complicated at all. I'm pretty sure you'll guess it real quick. Okay, so back to our mystery project. We need to go really deep into our scrap pile, pick out our Christmas fabrics, and cut out 25 1-inch squares. I've already done that and have my teeny tiny squares right here. All 25 of them. I think it's 26 actually. I may have gotten a little bit carried away. And I mean, just look at them, you know, just the fact that they're this tiny, it just makes it cuter already. So we're off to a very good start. And you know what? I have always been the kind of person, the kind of quilter who would toss her scraps if they were tinier than like 2 inches. Well, 3 inches. Okay, 4 inches probably. So, you know, to be able to do something this cute with such teeny tiny pieces of scraps, it's a game changer, a complete game changer as far as I'm concerned. And because of that, now I just love tiny scraps. And sometimes we do get spooked by how tiny our pieces are, you know, in a project, but there's really no need, particularly if we do this the way we're doing it today. Okay, so first step is to get a 5 by 5 inch square of interfacing, a fusible interfacing. And I am using Heat and Bond. That's the brand I usually use for most things. I have told you that before. And now comes what is, for me, the most important part of our project, because we need to take these tiny squares and completely fill this square out. Okay? Now, an important thing is they need to be exactly side by side, okay? We can't have any gaps between them. They need to be completely together, okay? And that is why I'm using my glue pen here, you know, to make sure I get them in place on the interfacing before I iron and fuse it on. I could pin them, but they wouldn't lay as flat, right? They would be, you know, kind of crooked. And this way I know it's exactly where I want them to be. And yes, I could just use my iron and just, you know, get them in place as I go, but that way I wouldn't be able to change them around. And with this one, I totally can. Now, I have added these pins because my interfacing is not very straight and I need this to be as flat as possible. And I can't exactly iron it straight. So this is what I have. Okay, so let's do this. Let's fill our 5 by 5 inch square with our teeny tiny scraps. Okay guys, so I like this color combo, but you know, it being temporary glue, temporary adhesive, we can always kind of remove something and switch it around. So before the next step, make sure that your combo is exactly how you want it to be. I'm very happy with this. I think, you know, Christmas colors make it all the better every time. So I am ready for the next step. And the next step is getting my iron and fusing these fabrics onto the interfacing, okay? Let me show you, just like so. We don't want to drag it, okay? We don't want to iron it, we want to press it in place. If we drag it, we may, you know, shift these squares and create those gaps we really don't want. Like I just did here by pulling on my pen. Like I almost did here. Luckily, I knew better than to pull. So yeah, now this one. Now let's turn it around. Now we can drag, because now they're already fused. Just want to make sure they keep it that way once they are nice and cold. Okay guys, so this is what we get. How's it looking? Any idea of what we're doing here yet? You know what? This could be a quilt block. It would really make an awesome quilt block actually, but I don't really like using interfacing for my quilt blocks because they get this stiffness once they're cold that I don't like for quilts. So this isn't a quilt block. You could, however, add this to like a piece of card or a thick paper and make like a postcard for a fabric lover. How cool would that be? You know, there are just so many options of things you can do with tiny squares. It's just a whole new world that's opening up for me. Okay guys, so next step is getting our 5.5 by 5.5 inch square batting. You can make it a bit bigger if your batting is wonky. Mine kind of is over here, but not that much. And now we just remove the protective layer of our interfacing, you know, the backing of it. Because the next step, yeah, it doesn't like to be pinned. Because the next step is fusing the center onto our batting. Now you want it to be in the middle of your batting, okay? This one isn't really straight, but I think the others work. So we do this again. The thing with, you know, 100% cotton batting is if you drag your iron, you will be misshaping it. You will be, you know, making it crooked, and we don't want that. Okay guys, so this is what it looks like. You don't want to cut out the excess, okay? This is what we've got and it's looking really good. So now we get to decide if we go ahead and add the backing fabric and do a bit of quilt as you go, or if we just add it afterwards. You know what, let's do it quilt as you go style. It's just so much fun. Okay, so now we will need a 7.5 by 7.5 inch of backing fabric. And by now you probably know we're totally doing a mug rug here, right? If that was your guess, you are absolutely right. This is a scrappy quilt as you go mug rug. How cool is that? Okay, so now we just want to center our, you know, our square tiles. Let's call it that. We want to center our tiles and our batting, you know, somewhat in the middle of our backing fabric. So yeah, this is perfect. Now we just pin this in place and we are ready to quilt as you go, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to quilt it. We're going to quilt all the layers in one sitting, okay? So no quilting the top and then adding the back. It's all going to be nice and stitched together. And another thing that's extremely exciting for me, at least, is that we are doing a zigzag stitch. And personally, I love a zigzag stitch. I think it's really, really fun, a fun way to sew, and I didn't do it nearly enough. I love zigzag sewing. I don't get to use it as much as I'd like, so extra fun point for this project for being able to use it. Okay, and all we need to do before we start sewing is to pick our thread color. We want to make it Christmassy, so this is a Christmassy green, red of course, but I am debating, you know, there's so much color in here already. We could do yellow of course, but this is kind of important because we will be zigzagging all the lines here, so it will be a really showy, okay? You will see it really predominantly, and I'm afraid this with the fabric, you know what guys, I think I'm gonna keep it white. Yeah, I think white works the best because it relieves the eye, right? And it at the same time it doesn't overpower the fabric, so you're able to see all the fabrics. Yeah, let's do it white. Not the most original color, I know, but I really do think it's going to work out. We could have used brown, we could have used so many colors, but white just gives a simplicity to this project that I think will work out really well with such huge, big, bright colors that we have here. Okay, one final advice for the sewing. Do it, you know, slowly. If you go full speed ahead, considering we are using the interfacing, which is well, has glue on it really, and it may just get caught on the needle, and if you're not using, you know, the best thread, or if a needle isn't very strong, you will fray the line and you will just have to rethread your machine over and over again. So best do it slowly but steadily and never have to rethread. That's my preference personally. I would prefer it any day. Okay guys, so this is our back, looking pretty cool, like a, you know, big game of tic-tac-toe. And this is our front. Now what can I tell you that will help you do this? First, I used in my machine, my Singer machine, so it's 5 points in height of the zigzag and 0.5 in the length of the stitch, okay? Because I want it to be really tight, but I want it to be tall to be able to catch the 2 layers, particularly if by any reason you notice you have, you know, some gaps. It's the perfect way to hide them. Also, I did a double pass, okay? So I did it, turn it around and did it again because I really wanted the stitch to be noticeable, and I think this is actually pretty cool. What do you think? I am loving this so far. I am very happy with the results. I was a little bit afraid that these stitches were going to be too big considering how small the squares are, but I think this worked really good. And I'm also loving that I picked white. I think any other color, now that I see it, I definitely think it was the right decision. Any other color would have been way too much, okay? And the thread color you pick when you're quilting is actually really important, okay? It sets out the vibe for the project. If I had picked like a dark green or a red, it would be so much heavy, so much more in your face. So it doesn't mean it would be a bad thing, it's just not what I was looking for, okay? Different colors create different outcomes and you just have to find the one you want. Okay guys, almost there. Now we need to do our self-binding. We've done this a couple of times on different projects, except today we will also be using the zigzag stitching to keep it in place. So we'll need our little clips for this, and we'll also need our iron to make life easier for ourselves. So what we do is we fold this in. We don't want it to hide too much of the squares, okay? We want it to be right at the surface of the squares, okay? So we don't want them to turn, well, they will be turning into rectangles, but we want them to be we want it to take up as little of the squares as we possibly can. This is important. And then we just use our little clips to the side. Exactly. Yeah, I think this is a good one. We just want it at the edge. It's zigzagging, so we could even, you know, put it next to it. We didn't even need to do it over, but I think over makes it a little bit more sturdy, but no need to take up any more space. So there's one side. So the corner, okay? The corner, you want a mitered corner, and you can trim the fabric, the excess fabric, but for me that always kind of feels like cheating. I don't know why. So, you know, if you're careful enough, you can easily make a perfect corner without having to trim the fabric or having it, you know, be crooked in any way. And this one goes like this, and the corner just folds inside, and it should hit the exact point we want, just like that. And now we can pin it in place. This one's a little, yeah. And now we can just, you want it to hit that curve perfectly. Just like so, like that. So here's one. Okay, and this is what we have. Let's zigzag a little bit more and see what we get in the end. And here we have it, guys, our mug rug. Oh, look at that. So cute. Our mug rug, or our coaster, as you prefer, ready to go and looking absolutely beautiful. Now, if you make like a set of 4 or 6 and tie a really nice ribbon around it, it will make an awesome gift. And you know, 1-inch fabric squares are really easy to come by. Now, was this as much fun for you as I promised? I hope so, because I had a blast. I am definitely doing this for someone or a couple of people because I just want to keep making them. Guys, thank you for doing this with me, and I will see you really, really soon. Bye bye and Merry Christmas.